You are listening to Come As You Are, the podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I'm joined by my two friends, Amanda and Tyler. We are a trio of coaches on a mission to ignite a collective movement where authenticity, self discovery, and purposeful living take center stage. Each episode, we go live in the CAYA way. CAYA is an open invitation to show up authentically and vulnerably. It's a safe space to allow ourselves to be worthy and enough now. It's a celebration of our individuality and diversity. So welcome to the show. We are happy that you're here, and we invite you to join us in today's conversation.
Hello.
Hi, friends.
Hi.
You always know it's going to be good when we start with a deep sigh.
It's another Monday. I know I feel like we say this all the time, but it amazes me that we're here again.
But at the same time, doesn't it feel like we were just here?
I know.
You get that feeling?
That's what I'm saying. And we didn't even meet last week because it was a holiday, right?
That's right.
Yeah, that was the case. So it really does feel like we were just here, even though it's been a bit of a gap. Yeah.
Oh, time.
We're not going down that rabbit hole today.
Not today.
I'm stopping. I'm not even going to go down. I'm not even going to talk about it.
Well, maybe let's start with what our CAYA vibe is today.
Oh, yeah. It's always a good way to check in.
Amanda, did you want to kick it off?
Oh, gosh. Do I? I don't know.
You can say no. There's two other people here.
Oh, no, I'll go. If the invitation is there, I'll take it. I think why I'm also so hesitant is because I'm struggling to find words for this today, and not that I just feel very present and grounded, but at the same time, there's so much just feels so big. There's an alignment that I feel a shift that's happening, and so I just feel really present to that in this moment, and trying to find a very short way to answer that question. That's why I'm do I want to go first? I don't know. How much time do we have? But there's just, I don't know, something really in the air for me, and I'm just feeling a lot of gratitude and expansion. Yeah, so that's kind of in a very small nutshell, keeping it quick. That's where I'm at. How about you, Stephanie? I'll pop it back over to you.
Well, first of all, I want to say what a cool, juicy place to be in. When you know something's up and you still feel really good about it. And I mean, that's really a cool part of transformation to be at, right? For me, I actually surprised and also just noticing things today, because on the weekend I was so busy. I did something every hour of the weekend, basically, sort of worked nonstop, and I'm not exhausted. You would think that after not really taking time to stop, that I would sit here today and be really tired or wanting a mental break or something, but that's not it. And I'm just oh, cool. I'm just that's cool. Because I did work on passion projects. So those were things I'm really excited about. And it's just nice to see that, it just got me to this place where I'm I feel so content with everything. And it feels really nice. And it's exciting to start something a new project, get that off the ground. And to sit here today and be it's just another day, and it's so cool. I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit tapping the foundation of weekdays and weekends and what that all means, and like trying to get away from the structure and maybe making my own structure. Maybe that's where this is pointing me, but I'm just very grateful that I feel so good today. And I was on a really long walk with my dog for lunch, and so now, and I just came back, so now I'm just like really enjoying that I'm sitting here and can, like, my body can rest and I can go into the juicy conversation we're obviously going to have in a minute. So yeah, that's my vibe today. So Tyler, by the way, I just want to say for everyone, we did not color coordinate. Can we just take a moment? We did not color coordinate, but can we just take a moment? So first of all, Amanda and I, we have pretty much the same color of shirt. We're also both wearing like a kind of similar necklace thingy. And then Tyler was meant to be in the center today, and he's bringing, the colors in the background and the very bright shirt. But again, we did not coordinate that.
What's wild is I almost wore like burgundy too this morning, because I have a bright red workout shirt and then I have a burgundy workout shirt, and this is just the one that I ended up pulling out of the drawer because it was like on top, but right underneath it was the burgundy. So how cool would have that been if we were all in burgundy?
You know what? One day, I'm sure that will happen.
It will. It will, because we're just so aligned. And actually, like, continuing with check-ins here, I love that we're all in this very like warm, kind of fuzzy, cozy space, just like taking it all in. Like, if I were to sum up where we're all at right now, I would say it's like aligned. Like, we're all very aligned and like centered, which is like a really great feeling, because this weekend I did the opposite of Stephanie, shockingly, actually. Usually we're so aligned, on the same plane, but I did the opposite of Stephanie. I took the weekend off and rested, reflected, unplugged, just kind of didn't really think, because my brain has been moving like a million miles a minute for a couple of, like, probably like several weeks now. It's just been nonstop, and I fell into a place of like just exhaustion where it was like, oh, I need to block out time to just not think. And something that I learned, and I was reflecting on my way from the gym this morning, was like, oh, maybe as entrepreneurs and as very like soul-centered beings and people who live in our passions every day, like, I think it's so important to unplug. And sometimes we just don't do that. Sometimes we because we have such a fire and a passion for what we're doing, it's really easy for us to go nonstop, like 7 days a week, and just chug along. Because again, it energizes us. It feels really good. But I think there is a breaking point where it's like, okay, if you don't stop and you don't have at least like one reset day. And this is what I love about Amanda, is because I know her Sundays are like her reset days. Like, she's not on social media. She's very unplugged. She's not really thinking about things. And so I appreciate that about you, Amanda, is that you have that unplug day. And I experienced it this weekend, like on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, just being like, I need a 3-day reset. And then I got up this morning and I was like, okay, let's go. Time to go back to work. Like, time to get into it again. And it's like, and what's so amazing is like, it doesn't stop. You're not going to kill your momentum if you take a break or if you take a breath. And I think that's something that I've always been very afraid of. And even my therapist has to remind me of this. She's like, Tyler, you have big dreams. You've always had big dreams. They're never going away. So just take a breath. And she actually encouraged me to write the word breathe on my wall. So I have it written on my wall now, because sometimes I just need to breathe. And that's what I did this weekend. So
I love that. Well, I learned a new word. I don't know, actually, this is a new word, maybe acronym. Anyways, so Have you guys ever heard of JOMO?
The joy of missing out.
Yes.
Yes.
So I know FOMO, right? The fear of missing out, and I've heard FOMO, and then I learned JOMO, and I was like, what is this? Like, I've been experiencing this, but I've never called it this. And I'm so like always using this like, oh, FOMO, because I do have that, a tendency to have that. But like this JOMO, like I love it, especially like in what you were saying, Tyler. Like I feel like that's what that is, right? It's that like it's not a fear of missing out. It's actually a joy of missing out. Like the slowing down, the taking the time, the unplugging. I was talking to a friend and she has her own practice, and she was saying, you know, she's very busy and she's always busy and she's going on vacation. And she's like, you know, I'm going to take my laptop. And I'm like, what? You're going to do what? Like, I'm that friend who's going to check in with you and be like, no. Like,
No.
well, if you know, you might not be able to reach me, but if you really need me, then send me a message on WhatsApp. I'm like, I love you, and I'm sending you so much love, but like, don't think I need to get in touch with you that bad. Like, it's okay. Like, you go enjoy the time with your family, like unplug. Like, I'm going to challenge you to leave the laptop at home. Do not take the laptop. Do not check the phone. Do not lock yourself in the bathroom so your family doesn't know you're checking your work emails, you know? Like, enjoy the time. Like, truly be present and enjoy the time. And I can say that from my own lived experience, because I did that recently. And I was like speaking to myself at that time, because I've done that, right? Like gone on like little mini vacays or like an actual like longer term vacation. And I'm, oh, well, I only have like one or two things in the calendar, or I only have, you know, one call here or one call there. Like, it's not a big deal. And then recently I went on a week-long vacation and I had nothing in my calendar. And I haven't had that experience before of just, what day is it? Like, and I would, how I would keep track of the days. I'm like, oh, we went to like an all-inclusive resort. So it's like, oh, well, we've had 3 dinners here, so it must be Tuesday, you know? Like, that's how I kept track of the days. Otherwise, I had no idea. And normally, like, not that I feel like I'm attached to my calendar when I'm away, because I've gotten much better at that, but I still am thinking, oh, okay, well, I have that meeting on Tuesday at 1 o'clock, so I have to make sure that I'm keeping track of the time and I know what day of the week it is. But I completely let that go, and it was a completely different experience. And so I was trying to like impart that on my friend, because I think we get so in this trap of, oh, well, it's just one thing. Oh, it's just, you know. And then I learn JOMO, and I'm like, oh, I love that. I love that.
Those all-inclusive resorts like that, when you fully unplug, you get into that headspace of like, what day is it?
Mm-hmm.
Where, you know, what time is it? Like you don't even know the time. It's very like surreal to go to those kind of places and completely just, like you said, unplug, like not have a calendar, not have a schedule, not have a routine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because like, as you're talking about the joy of missing out,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's almost like for business owners, the joy of missing out is the joy of missing out on our business. You know what I mean? Because we're so plugged into it all the time and we love the work that we do. And like, if we could, we probably would do this like 7 days a week, like all day long. We have that kind of battery. But like, it's almost the reversed for entrepreneurs, because our joy of missing out is like finding the joy in missing out on your business, you know, because the frame like joy, like, because I've always heard the term joy of missing out, and it's like, oh, skipping that friend's party because you just, you know, need to stay home or something like that, or you just need like alone time. Like, that's the joy of missing out from what like most people, or what I've always heard of it as. But like, Amanda, you were just describing it almost as like the joy of missing out on like your calendar and like your work schedules and like your passion projects. And that's so interesting because most people don't have that luxury of like most people don't have that luxury. Like most people can't wait to clock out of their work. And all three of us were over here. We're like,
what?
We're the Energizer Bunnies. We're just going, you know? And I mean, that's something that I like take for granted all the time. I take for granted that like every day I wake up and I feel very passionate about the work that I'm doing and the life that I have been creating and just the projects that I have been pouring my heart into. Like every day I get to wake up and feel that kind of alignment. And I totally take this for granted because there are so many people out there who don't have that, who can't wait to unplug from their calendars and like clock out of work and be like, you know, count down to Friday kind of energy. But I don't want to miss out on my work and my passion projects and all of these kind of things. But it is very like important, I think, as entrepreneurs, especially when we're so soul aligned. Wow, tongue twister. That we do experience that joy of missing out. Like it's okay to let the project go. It's okay to unplug from your calendar and like not respond to an email or investigate something or help somebody. It's like, oh, okay. Like that's the joy. Like that's the joy of missing out in entrepreneurial world. It's almost flipped, which is very interesting.
I think a lot of people just feel so guilty, you know, when you say like, oh no, I just gonna take time for myself. Like when you have a family, like that seems so selfish. And then you feel so guilty about it, so you don't do it. But then when you constantly show up with this empty battery, I mean, that's not fun. That's not fun for you. That's not fun for the people you are around. So really, it's such a cool, powerful act to say, yeah, I'm going to take this 1 hour for myself to recharge. Because at the end of the day, and you mentioned this, Tyler, whether we like it or not, but we do need to recharge our batteries. You know, no matter how much passionate, purposeful, spirited energy we get from doing the things that are our purpose, we do have to admit that we are human beings and that we have our limits, you know, just bodily limits. Yeah. and that we have to take care of. And that's like such a big part of the fun of being a human being, right? To balance that, or to walk off. Oh, okay. So I'm a human. I'm also the spiritual being that has stuff to do in this world. And then whatever other hats you have in your life, I don't know. Yeah. That's what makes it so fun and so cool. At least I think that's where it gets interesting.
Stephanie, you brought up spiritual being, and it's making me want to go there.
Well, I'm not
go there. Take us there, Tyler.
Because you had just started talking, like you were just talking about like finding the balance and like us being spiritual beings, and you know, what does it actually mean to be a spiritual being? I'm curious, like your guys' definition. What is your definition of a spiritual being?
That's a cool question.
That is a cool question, because like it's one of those things that like, ooh, somebody else go first. I don't. It's like I don't have words. Like it just is. Like I don't know how to.
Okay, I think I have an image. I think
go, Steph.
I can mumble something. So
it was something.
So it's like this. So we all have a soul, And in order for our soul to do what it's meant to do, the reason for its existence, it needs to somehow materialize to kind of be able to take action. Like the soul cannot do stuff on its own. So that's why we get the body, the human body, and become a human. And then we can go out there and do our thing. And then we have our intuition, our, what I call our inner spark. And that's kind of like the megaphone of our soul, or the compass of it. Like that's that connection between the soul and our body, so that we can, receive whatever the universe wants us to do, or whatever, however you want to paint that picture, but so that our soul can give us like our marching orders, so to say. So that's where I think the inner spark, the intuition, comes in to do that. And the fact that we have a soul, like we don't have a soul, we are a soul. That's the spiritual part for me. Because like no one can, lie in an X-ray and say, oh, that's the soul, right? It's not something that is physically there. And that's what makes this also very, very cool. So that's my answer.
I'm getting tinglies thinking about this, because this to me is where like I want to really start to geek out, and because there is that like, I mean, all three of us, I think we're all very driven. I think we're all very soul-driven individuals. That's what connects us so well, is that we're all very like aligned spiritually, soulfully. And it's so like, that's where that magic lies, as Amanda's shirt says, the universe is magic. And and it's in that invisible space that Stephanie was just talking about. Like you can't X-ray and see a soul. You can't have a CAT scan and see your soul, but we know it's there. We know it's a part of us. We know, actually, like, again, even reframing that, we know we are soul. And something, as I've gone down my journey, I think the shift towards being more of a spiritual being has made me realize that I am a soul in a body. I am not a body with a soul.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just something so cool about that, because when you tap into soul and you operate from your soul space, which I call it the heart space, all of these like external things just kind of like don't matter anymore, like I think about this a lot. So I'm going to go down, I'm going to throw in materialism, and the fact that like so many of us chase material possessions thinking that that's going to fill us, like fill a void, fill something that we're missing. And there's not like there's no amount of stuff in this world that is ever going to make you happy, And I just think about this, and I because I work in retail right now part-time, my unglamorous like part-time job that I have in retail. And I see so many people come in, and for like 1/10 of a second, they're happy because they just bought a new purse. And like, but it's that fast. And here, we started this conversation and we were talking about how aligned we are and about how fulfilled we are. And we're not fulfilled physically, right? It's not like, we're not fulfilled by our material possessions. We are fulfilled by our meaningful connections and passions and projects. And like, the three of us, like, I don't think we ever actually stop enough to appreciate how lucky we are that we have that we know that we are at that place in our world. And we're only in our 30s. People go their entire lives never finding fulfillment, never experiencing the power of the soul, because they're chasing material things, they're chasing status. But all three of us sitting here, like we're pretty incredible in the fact that, like, we have tapped into the power of the soul and we operate from that space. And it's passionate and it's fulfilling and it's an incredible, like, energy to be a part of. And I don't think I've ever just acknowledged that or really expressed gratitude towards that. But, like, I'm so grateful that to be 31 and have such a deep connection with my soul and my spirit. It makes me
I have this. Oh, sorry. Finish first.
No, that's it. Like, I'm just like, I could, like, cry.
Yeah, I felt that coming up.
Actually, I have this question now from what you just shared, Tyler. Because you mentioned, like, oh, we have that already, and other people will find it in their 40s or 50s, or maybe never in this lifetime. And that brings me to a question that I always love to just, I don't know, have a conversation around is, what happens when we die? And so basically what I want to ask you guys is, do you believe in how do you call this? Like, do you believe that we are reborn, that our soul moves on and then has a new life in a new body? And because, like, sometimes I'm thinking, okay, wait, someone is never finding their purpose in this lifetime here. I mean, their soul must do something after death, right? Like, that's not the end. Like, I personally believe that when we die, when our human body decays, and is no longer, that our soul does move on. So I want to ask you guys, like, what do you believe, and where do you stand on this? Like, okay, what happens if you just don't find your purpose in this one lifetime?
Oh my gosh. We're really digging deep today. I love it. Yeah, for me, similarly, I think that the soul, the spirit, is bigger than just a human body. And I also believe in, like, karma, and because I feel like those kind of go together in some way of, like, yeah.
Do you want to quickly say, like, what you understand under karma? Because I feel like this is one of those things that everyone can mean something different with.
Well, that's another big question. Big episode of big questions.
The episode where we tackle everything.
We are going to solve all the problems in this world today. Just
Why not?
another half an hour and we are like,
why not?
I think this is where, like, different people have different experiences, based on like what they do in their life, or that, you know, we really are all meant for that purposeful, soulful aligned, like the, you know, what people can often dream of like, oh, the happy, right? And then they create it like what you were saying, Tyler, about the stuff. Like it's the, oh, well, when I have the car, when I have the dream house, or when I have the stuff, then I'll be happy, you know? And when we kind of learn that that's not the path, or that we sort of overcome maybe even like generational trauma, like those things that have been passed on, and we can acknowledge or have an awareness of, oh, that's where that came from, and we're able to be that pattern interrupt. And it doesn't mean that this is like, I've learned from life experience, is that just because you have the awareness doesn't mean that like, oh, like magic, it disappears, it evaporates. Sometimes it does, but it doesn't always. And hearing and connecting with other people who have a similar experience, I'm like, oh, okay, it's okay. Like, I'm not the only one, especially when we're so in this like personal development space. I feel like sometimes thinking that, oh, I have the awareness, now it's just gonna magically like, you know, evaporate, or I have like an incredible therapy session or a coaching session where I'm like, I've had a breakthrough, or even our conversations here where I'm like, oh, you have that like aha moment, and you're like, oh my goodness, I have the awareness, now it's gone, and everything's gonna be, you know, now I'm healed, and everything's gonna be, you know, rainbows and sunshine. And then reality. And there's more to healing that. There's more to the journey. There's more pieces to the puzzle, though the awareness is great and it's a starting point. I just think there's so much more to that. And so people who are like experiencing those types of things are going through that journey.
Interesting.
My brain feels mushy. Which means we're in a good spot.
Okay, so you do mention you do believe also in kind of like second lives and like 500 lives, and that whatever your soul kind of put maybe on in debt or in their account in this life might carry over to the next one.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that also explains generational trauma, I think, because like, why else, you know?
And I think then we're also not like confining, like as we were saying before too, right? Like it's soul, spirit, like that's first. The body is secondary, right? So we're not just contained to the body. So it's bigger than that, or even, you know, experiences of like connecting with those who have passed on and that type of stuff. To me, it's like, well, then they must exist, right? Like, and even though like maybe I don't see them in a physical body, that soul, that spirit is still there.
Wow, I just had like such an epiphany from what you said, Amanda. I need to sit with this. Someone else needs to say something. I'm like,
well,
what the heck? Okay.
I'm also having like this is happening, and I'm like, I'm feeling drunk like off of this conversation. And I too believe in reincarnation, like the spirit comes back, like the, you know, the soul, you know, this is why, you know, I mean, and it makes sense in my beliefs of all of this, because we've met those people who are old souls. You know what I mean? We know, like, that's why that phrase exists. Like, oh, you're an old soul. Well, what does that mean? It means that you just have a lot of collective wisdom that you didn't get, you know, just in this one lifetime, Like they're like I've been called an old soul like my entire life. I think all three of us have had people tell us that. which is another cool thing that brings us together. But like, I mean, to me, that is proof that like our souls have lived before us and they'll live after us. And like we come back to continue to grow and evolve. And finally, like, I do believe that like our end goal is reaching that full place of enlightenment, you know, and kind of finding nirvana, if we're going into more of the Buddhist space. But like, yeah, I think this is where we get that idea of like, oh, you're an old soul. Well, what makes somebody an old soul? It is that they just have that innate collective universal wisdom that they've just, you know, had passed to them, you know, and that's really powerful. And then you guys were just talking about generational trauma. And I'm going to throw this out here, and this may sound really insane, but we're already there in this episode, so it doesn't matter. But like, what if generational trauma was a collection of past lives, you know? Because I think we look at generational trauma and we think, oh, this is, you know, the boomers. They experience this and then they're passing that on to, you know, the Gen Xers, and then the Gen Xers are passing that on to the millennials, and then, you know, so on and so forth. But like, you know, we're looking at it as just generation to generation. But if we all kind of believe, or if our beliefs are all kind of in this space of the soul lives on after we die, well, generational trauma is like years and years and years, and like just this whole collective energy of like past souls that kind of feed into our experiences. Like, I know that's pretty wild, but like, it's not just like, oh, this is happening because the boomer generation went through this. No, they all have souls that come from years and years and years ago that have this collective energy that then feed into their experience.
This to me is like the law of like oneness.
Mm.
That everything is truly just one.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like the story of the butterfly, you know, like the butterfly that flaps its wings in somewhere like across the world, that it can impact, like that, the butterfly effect, right?
Yeah.
And it can impact everything. And I think that is kind of what you're describing there, is this like that oneness, the, you know, that collective energy, and how that impacts, like that impact is not limited to that person or to that human physical body existence, that it is greater than that, that the energy, like the frequency of what that human created, that energetic, like the ripple effect, right? Like we throw the stone in the water and you see it like just, you know, keep going. And to me, that's what that sounds like. It's like that even though the human body might be gone, there's still like the ripples. There's still that connectedness, that oneness of everyone. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I summarize that as everything is connected.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the truth. I do believe that also. Like somehow everything is connected. I mean, we can say like, oh, this is like 500,000 miles away from me and I've got nothing to do with it and whatnot. But somehow, yeah, you do. Somehow, even though you avoid it, yeah, everything is somehow connected. I believe that too.
But sometimes we're just in our little
Yeah,
Bubbles.
yeah, exactly. I just like, I feel like my head just imploded. Like, I'm like, can we keep this short today? I'm like so done now.
Yeah,
It's so
we
exhausting today.
we could make this a very short episode, like because I'm also feeling like, oh my god,
Is everybody just full?
like yeah, I'm very full. I'm
I'm
very
so full.
like
Yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of feel like, okay, we can't really go any further with this without this turning into like a 3-hour long philosophical discussion on, life, which would be phenomenal, but I'm feeling very much like drained, and not in a bad way, but just
Yeah.
like heavy after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. We were
And I
like,
wonder if this, like, just thrown into the mix real quick, if we're going to be wrapping up, because like this comes up for me whenever these types of conversations come up, and I wonder if this is like, no, I don't know if we should go there. No, that might be opening up a can of worms. Maybe we'll leave it for another time.
I also didn't even come close to asking all the questions I wanted to ask. But yeah, I'm just like, wow, sitting with this and being like, ooh.
Definitely like thought-provoking. I don't know if we actually got anywhere with this other than like cracking open the brain and getting us to think a little bit more, but it is very like I don't know, like I don't even have words. I'm done. I'm done. Let's wrap this up.
No, like I think we all like this. Like we all enjoy a good deep question and to explore. And again, we are not just our body, we also have a soul, or we are a soul with a body. That those things how do I, oh gosh. Okay, wait. I want to say something, but just like my brain won't produce the words right now.
I feel like this is like the limitations of the human body, right? The
Yeah,
soul has no
exactly. That's
limits.
what I wanted to
This
say.
is our like humanness showing, like in like all the colors. Like this is like our humanness has exceeded. Like there's like our human body only has so much.
Do you ever think about? I'm gonna end it on a very light note here. Do you ever think about like ancient philosophers who used to just sit around all day and think like this? And I wonder if this is what they experienced, where they just hit that wall and they were like, oh, I gotta sit with that for a minute. Like you just hit that like, and what are we gonna do now? Like truthfully, we're gonna end this show and it's gonna be very abrupt and people are gonna be like, what the heck? But like you just have to sit with this for a minute and like let the divine downloads come when they're supposed to come, I think we kind of hit that space because we were trying to force something bigger, or we were trying to like go beyond where we were humanly capable of going. And so it's like, okay, now we're just going to sit and we're going to reflect and we're going to ruminate and we're going to let the divine downloads come to us. And that may come this afternoon, that may come later on this week, that may come a month from now, but like eventually you'll just kind of wake up and have more clarity. And I think that's the really fun thing about asking the big questions and challenging yourself to think bigger and go into these really abstract places, because you walk away with a deeper insight and a deeper understanding of self and soul and spirit and all of these really big topics. And it's fun. I think this is fun. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
Well, then I'm crazy too.
Yeah.
I'll be crazy with you.
Alrighty, so that was very fun. Like, that was so fun. I'm
Yeah.
so done now, but that was so fun. So thank you for everyone who made it to the end of this episode. Congratulations.
We love you guys.
Yeah.
Next week we will be back and we will bring more of this and whatever that like channels into, who knows, but
I feel like I want to say happy divine downloads.
Yes.
We'll see you next time.
Happy divine downloading. Bye.
bye.
Thank you for listening to Come As You Are, the podcast. You can follow the show on Instagram at CAYA the podcast and on YouTube and Facebook by searching CAYA the podcast. If you haven't already done so, please help us keep the conversations going by subscribing, rating, reviewing, and sharing this podcast. And be sure to join us next time for another deep conversation.